in the Zacher V'Shomer. He said he could see it on my shelf. I see what's going on. You guys see what's going on in the background over here. He said he sees on myself the Zacher V'Shomer. He told me I should take it off and I should read it because apparently in page 134, so then everything I said in the shir was coming lafuke, Rabbi Falk, Zecher Tzadik Levrach. Now, of course, it was unintended, but Torah hu v'lilmud on its shrichim, and it does seem to be. It's unbelievable. It seems to be everything I said yesterday, at least in the end of this year, was coming mamish lafuke. What Rabbi Falk said, it was unknown. Rabbi said this was not premeditated. But kachi darke shel Torah, the derech of Torah is that sometimes you say differently even than the great gedolim. I mentioned yesterday at the end of this year we spoke about the challah and taking a challah out of the freezer and putting it onto an upside down pan or putting it on top of the shalom pot. And is that going to be a problem? It's at the bishul of the liquid. We spoke about the problem of the boirer, and we spoke about the problem of the bishul of the liquid, of the frost on the actual challah. I said yesterday that it's mamish a big problem. Yesterday we went with the Minchas Yitzchak says it's a problem, and the Minchas Yitzchak says that it's mamish l'chayra siman shin aleph and sif mem vav. Over there it talks about that if you have a baguette, and I think we spoke yesterday about the ear maflach, that you have the ear muffs that are wet and whatever, and now you want to go and you want to put them on the radiator. So that's my first, and it's usher. What's happening? The water's just evaporating. So we saw that that's l'chayra, not like the some cipher that when the cipher told us he said that when it came to a bishul the ibud, that's not called a bishul, that doesn't have a chshivas to it. Okay, the some cipher might have been talking where it's a bishul that is totally being destroyed, but he brought a raya from the case of oil, where something that is being spatial that you won't be able to use and it just evaporates. And he brought a raya from there. It's not called bishul. I brought a Taisus Arash that it's yes called bishul. I brought the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Shinal Sif Mem Vav that it is called bishul. I brought Rabbi Kiva Eger that it is called bishul. And that's really I brought the Minchas Yitzchak. Really, we spoke yesterday that he says that's the reason why we take a challah and you put it on top of the hot plate, so the frost is going to be in the spatial. It's going to be in the spatial and it's going to fly away. It's going to evaporate. I said yesterday the chayr, where's the liquid coming from? The liquid is not coming, we said, from the inside of the challah, which we can at least call it maybe a gather of an ein bishul achar bishul, bedaver a davar lach, which is then pashit derech agav. Even if you'll say it comes from the inside, it's still a big chiddush because right now it's a liquid which is right now lachshin etztanin, and lachshin etztanin we're machmir on. Elamai, but maybe it'll be something that's a lachshin stan, which is bottled in food. Now, by side, there's a very big difference between a challah and a potato kugel. The little droplets that are on the outside of the potato kugel, that's a part of the potato kugel, because you eat the potato kugel together with those droplets. So if those liquid droplets, even if they're previously cooked, but that you eat together with the potato kugel, so for shteitzach, I could hear a svara like we saw yesterday, from Zaman of Yashiv, that's bottled to the potato kugel. Even that was a chiddush. But that we heard yesterday, a grace svara. But by the challah, even if you're going to tell me that from where does the condensation come? It comes from the challah, which means it comes from liquid which was previously cooked. But so what? That liquid is not bottled to the challah. I'm just being moisif onto what we said yesterday. That liquid, even if you'll tell me that liquid comes from the challah and it was previously cooked liquid, that condensation. But so what? It's not something that you eat with the challah. Nobody eats the frost with the challah. For carrot, you wait till the frost goes away, and you heat it up and the frost goes away. And akapanim l'chayra, it should be doime to the svaras that we said yesterday when you have a salad and the liquid is a separate package. So the v'shteitzach, we look at the salad as one item and we look at the liquid as a separate item, and therefore it's taka yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach. I think that the chilik is barer, Gareth. No, I think it's a barer dik chilik over here. That's what I think. And Mamela, therefore, we said yesterday that number one, I said maybe the liquid comes from the outside, and number two, even if it comes from the inside, but it'll still be in together yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach, because it's not considered something which is bottled to the challah. And then I mentioned that what about boirer? I said boirer is for sure a problem because of the klipa. It's not going to apply over here. A klip is only something which was a chelik of it inherently, naturally, but over here it's not naturally, number one. And number two, anybody who knows from the frost on the challah, it gets into the nooks and the crannies of the challah. We're not talking about the way goyim make challah. We're talking about the Jewish challah, right? Jewish challah has like little Hungarian lach over there, little lach over there, all over the place, and they have little pockets of ice and this and that and plats and everything. I think Rabbi Lieberman calls them plats and whatever. Braids, I think they're called balkopanim. So the liquid that's there, how could you say that's a klipa? A klipa is something that covers a surface area. You're not going to say that then everything in the world is a klipa by side, and then nothing's not a klipa. Then when you have peas and carrots, so the pea is covering the carrot, so that's a klipa too. And therefore we said it's a problem of Bayra, it's a problem of Bishul, and the Chal is the problem. Now, Adkan is what I said yesterday with a little bit of Isafa. Maisa, Manoimar, Manadaber, Manatstadik, Rabbi in the Zachav Shamer. He really does go exactly the opposite of what I said. I'll just read it because, it's how close I was to my Rabbi Zeichat Tzadik Levroche. But Toiver Velil Modana Tzrichin, he says, similarly, frozen cooked food, such as a frozen challah, may be warmed up on the top of a pot, upside down pan or on a challah pot, he says over here. He said, if the cooked food has frozen deposits of uncooked moisture, he says, if it's uncooked moisture, so they should be wiped off, which I said is boirer. So he says it's not boirer because he says it's similar to removing a peel. To me, it's sarchi and gadol. I don't understand that, and therefore it should be done samach lesuda, which we said Rabbi Yashiv argued for a different reason. First of all, I'm telling you, I don't think it's a peel. Second of all, samach lesuda, Rabbi Yashiv says b'chlal na pasha. That's called samach lesuda when you're doing something for an hour from now, and it doesn't necessarily have the shame of the samach lesuda, which is a sugin boirer, which I admit that one is a bit of more I could hear the machlekes. The first part is extremely difficult. Then he writes, one need not be concerned that the deposits which originate from the cooked food itself and are frozen while the food was inside a bag. He said those you don't have to worry about because those they originate from the cooked food itself. So he says, so since such deposits are insignificant, they are not subject to bishul achar bishul. Tzarchi and gadol. Tzarchi and gadol. He brings down at the bottom over here, l'chayra, tzarchi and gadol. Tzarchi and gadol. I don't know. He brings the Rabbi Kiva that we spoke about. And I don't know, Tzarchi and Gadol. Akapanim, I still think that one can't be Saimach on this. And I don't know, Tzarchi and Gadol. Akapanim, that's number one. Number two is Rabbi Isai, is that Lamaisa. Now we're going to start Mit Hashem, a very big sugya, a very big shmakas sugya with tremendous nafkaminas. The truth is, I want to mention one more thing before we start. Actually, Rabbi Cooper. Rightfully so. He pointed out to me that if you look in the tshuva, this is going back a few shiurim, right? Any eitzah for the oilam, it's not such a big deal, Rabbi Slansky. What you do is you take the challah out of the freezer and leave it there. If you leave it there for about 10 minutes, usually it dries off anyways. And that at least the ice pockets dry off. You could take it and turn it upside down, and you're allowed to do that. That's not, a maisa boirer. That's the boirer is going to happen on its own. That wouldn't even be called a grumma. It happens on its own. And then afterward, the moistness on top of the challah, okay, that I don't have a problem with drying moistness. That's nisbatel to the challah, mitzad boirer, and then you dry that off, and then you put it on top of the hot plate or on top of the challah pot. That wouldn't bother me. Now, do we say the water absorbed, the uncooked water absorbed in the challah? That's interesting. Svar. It could be, we'll see today, svaras that are diamond to that. That's something that we're not misyaches to b'chlal. That's an interesting shayla. Rachkin is asking, once that water goes into the challah, so you have like water that was absorbed in the challah that was never cooked. If so, it could be that in halacha, there's the concept of a chatzi shir asatayra, and there's a concept of something that doesn't have any chshivas at all. Maybe something that goes in that we don't see is this battle the gamre doesn't have any value to it, any chshivas to it. I could have heard such a svara that l'chayra. Yeah, that we're going to talk about today, Rabbi Rajkin. That in Mitzvah, we'll see if it's a tushta. Rabbi Cooper pointed out to me, and rightfully so. It's just interesting. I spoke about the aspect of the shiloh of cholent, a potato kugel, davar gush with ketchup, and I spoke about it in regard to bishul achar bishul b'davar lach and putting that chumrah together with the davar gush. And I said to you that when it comes to ketchup, so ketchup has two svaras. Ketchup is thick, and maybe it's called a yavish. And I said that ketchup has the other aspect of ein bishul achar bishul b'davar lach, that we're only machmir. Maybe we're not going to be machmir when you put it together with the chumrah of gush. We spoke about this. And I mentioned it's a machlekes. It's really a machlekes between Rav Moshe and I think Rav Yashiv. Rav Yashiv said that the reason we're makel is because the ketchup is a davar yavish. It's thick. I said maybe it's taka dependent on American ketchup, not American ketchup. I said it doesn't work because Rabbi Moshe was going with American ketchup, and he said that that's considered ein bishul achar bishul. Bedavar lach, it's called a lach. The truth is, Rabbi Cooper, rightfully so, when you read the tshuva inside, it's Bar and Ramosha in the shayla. The shayla, when he asked the shayla, he clearly was talking about a thick ketchup. He said, "V'oid ulaya ketchup loichashiv mashke kaven shu of biyoser." So if he's talking about the type of ketchup, which is a pori type of ketchup, it doesn't pass the words who av biyoser. So Stam, you see there, Shimon Eider, in the shayla that he was asking. I looked it up in the blue book, in the actual book there. Shimon Eider asked these questions. Sometimes there's a little bits of differences in the question between here and there. Over there, he clearly was asking about a thick ketchup. So this Ramosha is a very revealing Ramosha. Ramosha goes on to say the reason I'm Mako is usually should know. It's true. It's one of the very important truvas in Ramosha, very shkafically important. Ramosha says you should know that there are two chumras that converge over here. We spoke about this. One is ein bishul achar bishul b'davar lach. And number two is Davar Gush. He says you should know in Hilchos Shabbos in general, my Ashkafa, says Ramosha, is that two chumras in Hilchos Shabbos, many chumras in Hilchos Shabbos, you should be machmer. That's what he writes here. He says, Ulay yesh lachmer b'Shabbos, because Shabbos is so chumr. Stam. But he says specifically on these chumras specifically are chumra ba'almas. In other words, Ramosha is mechalik with types of levels of chumras. This chumrah of a davar gush and this chumrah of ein bishul achar bishul b'davar lach, you should know really be'emes the ikra din is kol kulai ein bishul achar bishul b'davar lach is mutter and kol kulai davar gush is mutter. So it's really chumras ba'alma. Those two chumras, when you put them together, are going to be meko. Let's start one thing you see from Ramosha. Derech agav, what's the geya for us in halacha is Ramosha goes on to say at the end of the tshuva, he says like this. He says, "Umashin estapik, what you were mistapik about by ketchup." That maybe it's taka of, maybe taka ketchup is thick. Afshin nirak al yedei shvicha, right? It pours. So, but you're saying it's something that's very thick that pours. So Ramosha says like this: Mistaber. Rabbi say, let me explain to you something. If Ramosha says there's a raya from a Gemara, say there, that's a raya from a Gemara. You could learn the Gemara differently. Ramosha is very big, but you could learn the Gemara differently. Maybe somebody else will learn the Gemara differently. But if Ramosha says mistaber, when Ramosha is talking about ketchup, and he says a svara in ketchup, right? That means Koilad Toira Kula just said this svara. That you got to, before you argue on this, that means the person that knows Koilad Toira Kula, he just said a svara. When Ramosha used to take off his tefillin, so they used to ask him like, When Ramosha would take off his tefillin, he would just say Baal Peh Mishnayis, right? He would say Baal Peh Mishnayis. No, how many Mishnayis a day did he say Baal Peh? When you take off your tefillin, how long does it take off to take off your tefillin? Also, how long? You got to take the straps out of the belt, and how long does it take? So they say that Ramosha on a bad day, somebody said that he was by Rav Moshe and he heard Rav Moshe say the entire Me'ilah. Okay, Me'ilah is only 4 prakim, Rabbi say, right? Me'ilah is not it's not so long. Me'ilah. Oh no, Me'ilah. Sorry, Me'ilah is Erechin is 4 prakim. Me'ilah. Where's Preshberger? No. Me'ilah is pretty insane. No, Me'ilah is insane. That means it's 6 prakim. That means he chazered 6 prakim of Mishnayos while he was taking off his tefillin. So the malach who can chazer 6 prakim of Me'ilah while he's taking off his tefillin, Baal Peh, if he says a svara, that means Kol HaTorah Kula just said the svara. So what's his svara about ketchup? Right? His svara about ketchup was that mistaber shaloi tali zeh bedin oichalei mashke legabe toma. It's not tali in Hilchos toma. What's it tali in? Elim hu davar hazav or shu davar shechatichas ha'oim desu medubakes yachad af beloi kli. He says it's all dependent on, does it need a kli to give it a form and a shape? That's what it depends on, right? He says, you know what it depends on? It depends on whether or not it needs a kli in order to give it a form. If it needs a kli to give it a form, that's called lach. That's called lach. Yeah, that's called lach. If it doesn't need a kli to give it a form, and it has a form even without a kli, so then that's called the avesh. I tried it today with my ketchup, and the Israeli ketchup, even the thick one, the awesome one, everyone knows what I'm talking about. I thought that was going to be so thick. It's not true. It does spread. It spreads. Even the awesome one spreads a little bit, right? So Moshe's ketchup spreads. I mean, now like Taka makes sense over there. That it spreads over there. That's the chayah. So I don't know. It comes out from Moshe that what's everything dependent on? Everything is going to be dependent on if it spreads or not. This is a reason chumrah in Rav Moshe over here, Rabbi side. It's a reason chumrah. I mean, Rav Moshe is looking at a davar yavesh. It has to be something v'stafnish can kli in order to be able to. It doesn't need a kli. If it doesn't need a kli, then it's called a yavesh. If it needs a kli, that's called a lach. That's a very big chumrah. I would have heard that. It depends on. The level of, Ramosha. It's a very big fish. Baisai, this is on a chumrah. Ramosha is learning like this on a chumrah, that the chumrah is that a person's going to come to make a mistake and go and heat up something which was raw. How's he going to make that mistake? He has to be very not so intelligent to make that mistake. So you see, it's mamash unbelievable thing over here. Erwin says that's every challenge. I mean, chalent needs a clean, mamish. It comes out that every chalent is lach according to Rav Moshe. It's unbelievable. Every chalent is not like I spoke the other day. I don't know. This is I don't know if you look at the whole thing as one though. You look at the pieces and the liquid aspects. I don't know. It's mamish a very big. It's not a really greasy kugel, Rabbi Lieberman. That's extreme. I don't know what kind of kugel you're eating over there in Gateshead. Chesnish was this like the Exxon Valdez. I got to calm down over there. Akapanim. Nostalgia, whoever remembers, Rabbi Silberman, you remember the Exxon Valdez? Rabbi Spire, it's before your time. So Tachlis, the Maisa, Igrada, it's open, so I'll read the next tshuva. Ramosha in the next tshuva has a shaila about, it's Martin Chiddush, how to learn the actual Gitarim of Lach. And Ramosha in the next tshuva, he has a tshuva about butter. And we spoke about this, but Ramosha talk in this tshuva over here, he talks about, can I take butter and put it on a hot potato? We spoke about it back then, but now you'll appreciate the musagim a little bit more. Ramosha says, look, he wants to say, it's mamanashach, right? Look, he says the butter itself comes from what? From milk, which is pasteurized. Okay, so he says the milk is pasteurized, so therefore, batsim, the butter is a solid. Okay, even if you're Ramosha's gedarim, it's a solid because it doesn't need a clay. Says Ramosha, so now you're taking a solid. On a solid, we say ein bishul achar bishul, because this butter was changed into a solid. So now we say ein bishul achar bishul. You're taking it and you're putting it on a baked potato. Says who cares? It doesn't matter. Ein bishul achar bishul. Elamai, you're going to tell me now it melts. Now it melts. So first of all, we'll be ma'isif. Well, it's a davar gush, right? So who cares? It's the same Jisaid Rav Moshe just told us a minute ago. Potatoes a davar gush. The butter is ein bishul achar bishul. Even if you say it melts. So now it melts and it's a liquid. Okay, but it's a liquid, it'll be ein bishul achar bishul b'davar lach. But Rav Moshe says you don't even need to say that. Says Rav Moshe, Mardik Yisayid, when we take something in a solid form, which was previously cooked, and they putting it into a matzav of heat, it's going to go and liquefy. Says Rav Moshe brings a raya, which Mitzvah Shem will learn. We don't look at it klape the result. We look at it klape the action, and the action was done to a davar yavesh. It was done to something which was yavesh, and on that we said ein bishul achar bishul. By the time it gets to the form of liquid, it's too late. We look at it in the shlav when it was a salad. This is what Moshe says. He says, "Hare chema is pasteurizer, right? It's pasteurizer." Okay. So he says, he says that's mefurish that the fact that kishenikush yavesh ain't by bishul shuv. Mefurish by shumin, by never we look at it when right now it's yavish, and I don't care that afterward it turns into a lach, like echbaslan. That's what he says here. That's what he says. So I saw that the Shmir Shabbos Hilchos, he wants to argue on this. He says in the, I didn't write down where, maybe Aleph Kufayin Gimel, I think I wrote here, maybe Kufayin Gimel, maybe something like that. He says it's not true. That's not how they do it. He said the way they do it is that they take the butter, right? Say it like this. They take the milk that was pasteurized, and then the milk gets cooled down. So then the cooled down milk now has a shame of what? Has a shame of yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach. So now you take that thing which is cold, which on that thing is yes called bishul, okay? And now you solidify it. So all you did was you solidified something that there is a Shein Bishul on. It's interesting, machlekes here. I want to come back to this. I just wanted to, it's open on the table now. This is Rav Moshe. That's why I'm mentioning it. Rav Moshe says, no, you have something that has ein bishul achar bishul. I don't know. I guess Rav Moshe is going maybe more with the, you know what? Darlam should think about it. It's something we're going to come back to. The Svaras, Rav Moshe's Svaras taka very hard to understand. I would still be makel because who cares? It's still going to be a davar gush and the shiloh of davar gush plus ein bishul achar bishul, but davar lach, and maybe Rav Moshe is right. It's called the yavish. But just that's the idea of Rav Moshe. It's not a very big chiddush, and in Mitzvah Hashem, we hadron alach, we will return to that circuit. So that's Adkan, the first part. Amartem kolachai Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. But Lamaisa, let's get to the Ikar Sugi over here today. We need this chustak of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai because today we need to Siyata D'Shmaya, Mitzvah Hashem. You'll see why in a moment. Big problems over here. Hopefully, Bez Hashem, by the end of today. We'll talk about have a yishuv and talk a kedai Rabbi Shimon in a shas tzchak. Kedai Rabbi Shimon in a shas tzchak, like we saw in last week's stuff here. Actually, it's already been 3 weeks since Corona. Can't remember anything anymore. There are about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 shilas that we have to discuss today, and they're all, a lot of them are they sound like the same shilah, but really they're not the same shilah. They're all very, very different. What are all the shilah? What are all the shilas? The shilah is these droplets. These little droplets, and they come in all shapes and forms. You can have a cup that was washed out and now it has cold droplets on the bottom, cold insignificant droplets. You have droplets that were never cooked. You can have droplets that were previously cooked. You took a cup which you found in a garbage can in a shtibel, right? That was closed off for Corona, and you want to have a drink. You want to have a hot drink. No, so what do? So you want to take that cup and you want to sterilize it. And you pour it under hot water on Shabbos, and now what's left is these droplets. So now you want to take the next cup and you want to pour onto those droplets. Those droplets, after a few seconds, they're already cold. So those are droplets which are previously cooked. You have this in all forms and shapes. Rabbi said you have a ladle. The ladle, you put the soup, you put it out. Now the ladle is sitting on the table. Now the ladle has those droplets, which they're now cold. Now you take that ladle and you put it into the pot. The pot itself, Rabbi said, this is a kli rishon. That's a kli rishon. You're putting it into the pot. So now you're taking droplets. You're putting it into the pot. Sometimes you take a ladle straight out of the sink. You find sometimes you find some schmutz on the ladle. And right before you come to serve, so you go and you wash it in the sink. You want to take that ladle with cold, uncooked droplets and put her inside the pot. Sometimes you take off the cholent pot. And on top of the cholent pot, what's going on over there? By side, all types of droplets. They're cooked droplets. By the time you finish taking out your cholent, those cooked droplets are freezing cold. So these are all the same type of shilah. They sound like the same type of shilah, but we'll see. They are very different shilahs, Rabbi side. And Mitzvah Hashem, let's try to get to the ideas of these shilahs. They're all very, very, very negayis. One of the most negayis gezachen. Now, Rav Yitzchak, he put on the Marmakoimis, I saw a Shvisas Shabbos, which I mentioned already, and he brought down this Shvisas Shabbos in the Akadama and Oisites. You'll see it in the Marmakoimis, in the 6th Marmakoim, and I think also in the 7th one when you download it over there. He talks about in the Shvisas Shabbos. Shvisas Shabbos is a very important sefer to me because he's a Rav. He was a Yid from Yerushalayim, a Yid of Meltzen from about 100 years ago, even more. And he knew what went on in Yerushalayim. He saw tzaddikim. He saw great tzaddikim. And over there he writes that he talks about these droplets in the cup. And he says, we never saw the Rabbanim that cared about these little droplets. Did anybody over here see any of the Rabbanim that cared about the droplets? And I don't mean Poiskim that learned the Sugya and whatever. I mean did you ever see like a Rebbe, something like that, some Gishmaka Rebbe that, what'd you see, Rabbi Slansky? What did I do? What did I do? You wrote me what I do? Rabbi Kalish from Eretz, but what did I do? What did I do? What'd you see me do? This is very, very exciting. What did I do? I'm waiting to see what I did. He's too scared to write. Machmir on the droplets. He saw me being machmir on the droplets. He saw me being machmir on the droplets. Maisa, that's what we're going to try and figure out today. Why am I being machmir on these droplets? Hooray, it says over there that he never saw the Rabbanan Rikishishoy of Yerushalayim being machmir. No. Rabbi Elbaz, did you see from the great tzaddikim, the chachamim, Did you see them taking the cups and pouring them? The truth is, the Sfardim, those guys, they're all rich. They have those fancy cups over there, no, and Shari Zion or whatever. They don't use some guy's old cup, no. And probably by the time they come to get the second cup of tea, Mistama, they throw out that cup and take the next cup already. No, so forget it. I don't know the guys you're hanging out with, but I'll go upon him. The rest of us simple folk. No, what do you say? Anybody else want to tell me they saw anybody? Anybody ever saw anybody? No? Fishy, was tut sich etwas in Sassregen da? Hast du gesehen? Rabbi Fischer, the Fischer Breeders, what tut sich da with the TVs in the background, mit alle tuna beigelach? What do they do? Do they pour out the droplets? What do they do over there? Anybody want to tell me? Okay, so you need Kallus. I always wonder what you need Kallus for, but now I see there's no brera. Right? You know, we need Abi Rosenberg. He told me he's watching, but right now he would be telling me what I need him over here. So I'm going to tell you, Rabbi Isai, he said that the Rabbanim Kishishai, they don't seem to be makbid. So he says, I'll tell you why they're not makbid. This is the great Shvisas Shabbos in Dakdam in the 19th ice. He says, I'll tell you why they're not makbid. He says, listen, first of all, they're very small droplets. As I say, there's no chashivis. What's for chashivis? No, Rabbi Salzer, what chashivis is there in just a couple of droplets over here? What's that, the chashivis? No. So you say, what? This is a chatzi shir. Chatzi shir asataya. Okay, so we go weiter. It's already a psik reisha, no psik reisha delay nichale on a chatzi shir. Rabbi Isai, and Rav Moshe explains this in the 93rd tshuva also. Rabbi Isai, what's the whole idea of chatzi shir asataya? This is like one of those like geschmacker chaburalach, you know, Rabbi Isai. Not my style, but they're geschmackers. You know, what's the whole word of chatzi shir? The whole word of chatzi shir is the achshevei, says the Chacham Tzvi. Achshevei means, why is chatzi shir aser? Because we say that you're machshiv that little amount. The Torah said that in order to get the Muslim dika iser, you have to do the whole thing. But if I have a small amount, the Torah asered. Why, says the Chacham Tzvi? We asered that little amount because obviously if you're doing it, there's a achshava to it. There's an achshevei to it. It's considered chashiv by you. You're achshevei that little amount. As I bezai, says Rav Moshe, gewaldig isvare. It's a stira to say psik reisha delay nichale in the same sentence as achshevei. What's psik reisha delay nichale? I have a droplet that I don't care about. If I'm pouring in the water into my cup because I want to get water in my cup, and I don't care about those droplets. But you tell him, Rabbi, it's very nice you don't care about it, but it's a psik reisha delay nichale. So psik reisha delay nichale at least should be aser. So I tell you, Rabbi, psik reisha delay nichale is a stira to what you want to be mechayiv me on. Because the whole droplet, you only want to be mechayiv me on because I'm being machshiv it. I don't care about it. So then I decide it's a psik reisha nichale on a chatzi shir. Bam. As I decide psik reisha nichale and a lachshevei. No, we're going to add over here. Don't you remember so many shitas that hold ein bishul achar bishul b'davar lach? If the droplets were previously cooked, that was in a case if the droplets were not previously cooked. But now if the droplets are previously cooked, Rabbi Isai, so now it's a psik reisha, delay nichale, and it's no achshevei on a chatzi shir, and it's ein bishul achar bishul b'davar lach. No, that far. Mistama, that's why the rabbinical staff was not so makbid loy rahinu rabbanan kashishoi. Adkan is what the Shvisas Shabbos says, but then he goes on to say, Abaman naseh the Mogen Avram steht nicht azeh, and we know the Mogen Avram was from Kallus, right? Where's Kallus? Is he listening to us over here? The Mogen Avram is from Inzer Shtetl, Kallus, right? From the Hain, and Kilas Kodesh of Kallus. And Lamaisa, where's the Mogen Avram? We mentioned this Mogen Avram. The Mogen Avram is in the 35th Siv Kotin, and over there, this is also brought in the Mishnah Berurah for those that can't reach the Mogen Avram. The Mishnah Berurah is in Ayin Ches and Sharzin Siv Kotin Kuf Ches. Over there, the Mishnah Berurah brings mefurish a case of a piece of boiling hot meat. And he says, if you take that piece of boiling hot meat and you put it inside some little puddle of soup, some previously cooked soup, says, Rebbe, the Mogen Avram from Kallus, that in such a case, that's Bishul Doraisa. He says, why? What are you being mavashal? He says, what do you mean? Hooray, the droplets underneath the piece of meat, those little droplets under the meat, when you put the meat inside onto that liquid, are getting this special. So And the Sharetzian brings it. The Shvisas Shabbos says, Manasseh, you have all the same svaras. What's being the special? That little bit of droplet, who cares? That's a psik resha. Diloi echbaslei. With the achshavei, there's no achshavei on the chatzishir. The only thing that's getting the special, the little droplets that are around the surface of the piece of meat. As I say, we don't care about that. And I say, if you see the Mogen Avram, it's not like that. Says the Shvisas Shabbos, it's a shver zach. And then he goes on to say, so therefore, if you see someone, let's say, like one of the great tzaddikim of Ramat Shlomo, and you see him being machmir and cleaning out this cup or whatever, he says, he's eina min matmiyim. You don't have to say, you know, that fellow, he's mamish of the matmiyim. He's like a strange individual. He's strange. I wouldn't take directions from him. You don't have to say that, says the Shvisas Shabbos. He's maybe not so strange. That's what the Shvisas Shabbos says. But upon him, and not only that, Rabbi say the plot thickens. The Sharetzian on the bottom over there, he brings down that you should know there are those that argue on the Mogen Avram. So we would think, yeah, why are they arguing? Right? That's what we would say. He doesn't say that. He brings down over there Beis Meir and Nishmas Adam, that they say all different types of svaras, which in Mitzvah Hashem we're going to learn. They say that because over here, when you take the meat and you put it on the droplets, so then what happens? When you put it on the soup, whatever, that little roitif, that droplet doesn't remain. It quickly gets moved over because it's in a liquid. So it doesn't stay enough time for it to get beat up by the piece of meat which is on top. So that's the only reason they argue. And others want to say that in others, kol rega over rega, it's a davar chadash of liquid that comes under the meat, right? They want to say maybe it's not shayach irui because the piece of meat is going onto the liquid. That is called in halacha nifsak hakiluach. The meat is coming from a pot and it's no longer connected, and that might not be called irui. In Mitzvah Hashem, these svaras we'll see, but no one says the svaras of psik resha, lo nichale, chatishir, ein b'shlach habishul b'davar lach, as I say, ze oimer darsheni. So we're back to the drawing board, right? Rabbi Wildman, back to the drawing board. What's going to be? We have over here tzaddikim in Yerushalayim that weren't so makbid and used to drink the tea and didn't wipe out the cup. Okay, and then we have other tzaddikim that they're not strange people if they do wipe out the cup, because it seems to be that the Mogen Avram was just as strange. He seemed to say that when you take a piece of meat which is boiling hot, put it on top of the liquid, so then we're not going to say psik resha nichale and achshav, no achshavei, no chatishir, and whatever. And then so what's the pshat? The Maisa Tachlis. What's the pshat? What do we do over here? So the emphasis is that there are many tziurim over here. There are many tziurim over here. I think if we go one by one through all the tziurim, we'll try to figure this out, push it, right? But I must tell you that before I even begin, I have one question which bothers me. Pasha Geferlich. I was going to wait till the end of the year to ask this question, but B'leis Breira, I'm going to ask it now because it's coming out of me. It's bubbling out of me. I can't hold back. And I called up Rabbi Yitzchak right before the year to ask him this question. Bothers me tremendously. Whatever svaras you're going to say over here, to figure out how this stems with the Mogen Avram or whatever, I don't know. But the Maisa Abaisai, what are we saying here? Psik Reisha, Loi Nichale, it's a Chati Shir, so therefore there's no Achshavei. It's Ein B'Shalach HaBishul B'Davar Lach. You can imagine that the Rav Moshe Shita, the Chazani Shita, those Shitas that hold Ein B'Shalach HaBishul B'Davar Lach, and they hold it's only a Chumrah. You can imagine they're going to care less about this Shaila. I don't mean care less, but they're going to care less. They're going to have less care about this Shaila. You can imagine it's not so strict. So these are all such wonderful svaras. Yesterday, I gave a whole shir. We spoke about it, bariches, all the achrayim that speak about the shaila. When it comes to the tea, when you're taking the tea leaves that were cooked on Erev Shabbos, and now they are sitting there in the wet liquid, and now the graz, the chasam soifer, the prima godim, the Mishnah Brura, the Nesivas Shalom, Mamish, the Binyan Siyan, all of our Rebbes, all the tzaddikim, every single one of them, when they talked about the tea, what did they say? They said, when it comes to the liquid, you have to dry it out. And the way we proved yesterday from the Chasam Sofer, from the Mishnah Brura, from Prima Godim, even from Reb Shlomo Zalman, that what does it mean to dry it out? It means don't think you have to dry it out from within. That far not. It doesn't matter if it has innovating liquid, has liquid on the inside, but you must make sure there's no liquid on the outside, and it's aimed by plum, that there should be no liquid at all on the outside. Okay? Because otherwise, when you're going to take the liquid and pour it onto those tea leaves, you're going to be cooking up the droplets of the tea, and you're going to be over on Bishul. The Chassam Sofer warned about this. The Pri Megadim warned about this. The Binyan Siyan warned about this. Mishabura, everybody warned about this. And was ich geschehen mit die gewaltige Svares? Was ich geschehen mit die gewaltige Svares? Was ich gewinn, was tut sich etwas mit der Psychreisha? Mit derselben Leinichele? Where's the Psychreisha? The Leinichele, the Chati Shir? Where's the Achshave? Where's the Ein Bishul Achabishul? It's all the same thing, and nobody said this far when it came to tea. So whatever far I'm going to say today, wie stimmt das? No? Rabbi Meiser, wie stimmt das? With whatever we're about to say now. Where's the stimmt das? Right? Oh. So Rabbi Schlüsselfield wants to say a svara. Let me see if anybody else says a svara. Okay, so Rabbi Levi Markowitz says to me that you have to remember he's been locked down in Africa for the last I don't even know how long, right? And when Africa gets locked down, it's very scary at both sides. It's not like in New York and whatever. I mean, but he says, what do you mean? It's nichele on the drops. It's nichele on the drops. Are you really nichele? You really what? You're happy about the drops? You're thinking about it? Say the emes. You're on live TV, Levi. Say the emes. It's not Africa anymore. You really are thinking about the drops? It's at least layech baslei, chazor bach, and you can still do tshuva, Levi. It's like echbaslei. I also had a tzad like you. That's why I'm being so angry at you right now. Right? No, Rabbi Slansky, the drops are not precious. The hair that you cut off of Nachi, that is precious. These drops are not precious. They're not precious. Actually, the hair that I cut off of Nachi, it's not precious at all. Right? So Rabbi Schlitzelfield, he says a svar here. Anybody else want to say it? It's water. So what? It's water, Rabbi Elbaz. So what? It's water. What are you getting at? People in Africa are starving. That's true, but it's unrelated right now. Akapanim. What else? I know. My mother used to always say, eat the food. Don't you know there's people in Africa that are starving? I used to say, let's send it airmail. No, let them have it. Why do I have to eat it? The island wants to be mishtatif. You guys. Akapanim, Rabbi say, Akapanim is, so I'll tell you what Rabbi Schlüsselfield said. You'll tell me if this is what you mean, Rabbi Schlüsselfield. I spoke to Rabbi Yitzchak, and the understanding that I have over here is there is a chilik, but I want you to know something, Rabbi Isai. It is somewhat splitting hairs. It could be it's the chilik is emes, right? But the idea is like this, Rabbi Isai, and it could be this is what Rabbi Lieberman is saying. You guys will tell me after it. This is what you mean, Rabbi Isai. When you take the tea and you're trying to make from the tea leaves over there, these wet tea leaves, you're trying to make a tea. So what am I doing? I'm taking water and making tea by pouring it onto the chefza that's here. What's the chefza here? It's the tea with the juice. It's all that. You can't start splitting and saying, yeah, that drop is not nicha, that's yeah nicha. What do you mean? You're pouring it onto this, and that's what you're trying to do over here. You're coming to cook the tea, or at least it's not called cooking, chas v'shalom, but you're coming to make a tea. If it'd be cooking, you'd be in trouble. But you're coming to make the tea. With what ingredient do I make my tea? This thing at the bottom of my cup, which has tea leaves together with the juiciness and whatever. On that, says the Chassam Sofer, you're not going to start saying, even though you don't really think about it, maybe in a cognizant way, and maybe this is what Reb Levi Markowitz meant also, maybe this is what everybody means over here. You're not thinking about it, but that is what you're coming to do. Rabbi Schlüsselfield, am I explaining you correct? Okay. That's what you're coming to do over here. You're coming to make a tea. So you're not going to start, now, Rabbi Sai, you have to split a hair, because on the other hand, we say that those droplets are not like the potato kugel, that they're bottled to the potato kugel because you're eating it. So in the one hand, it's the leaves which I'm making the tea with, and therefore it's yes called cooking. On the other hand, we don't say you're making the tea with it and it so much becomes a part of the tea leaves that it's bottled to the tea leaves. You don't say that. So you have to split that hair, Rabbi Isai. I agree with this. I'm just telling you that it's a chiddush. Masha'en came, what we're talking about today, what we're about to talk about now, the droplets, all as far as we're going to say is because a droplet is not going to be bottled to a cup. We'll see, maybe that will be one of the svaras eventually. But when we're dealing with a droplet, which has some level of you're not coming to make a droplet. You're not coming to make that droplet hot. You're coming to pour your water in the cup. Then already I could say all these svaras. It's Chatishir, it's Ein Bishul Achabishul B'davar. Before I continue, is that crystal clear, Kindalach? That's how we could start. Without that, we don't even start, right? Rabbi Zalzer, it's not clear? What's going on with you? Good boy. Why the Fisher brothers only putting up one hand? It's only clear by one. Oh, okay, shkach. Okay. Akapanim, it's a chiddush. Yeah, Rabbi Slansky's correct. It is a chiddush. Kedai Reb Shimon b'shas Chak. Rabbi Schlitzelfield, if you'd be right now in the Kailo, I would give you maybe like a prize for it, right? Maybe this. This is Gishmak. I got this when I was in Africa. It's a giraffe bookmark. Oh, look at that. Levi's crying. I would give you this probably if you were in the Kailo right now, but you're not here. So I guess when you come to Shalayim, maybe you'll try and cash in on it. Akapanim, the car keys. It's on the wrong side of the road. Don't ask. Akapanim, Lamaisa is Rabbi say. This is the Haskalah. Now let's use these svaras and let's start moving. Goyin Rav Moshe, our Rebbe, Rav Moshe Zecher Tzadik Levracha, in Chelik Aleph and Siman Tzadik Gimel. He has two tshuvas about this. One is in Chelik Aleph and Siman Tzadik Gimel, and the second one is in Chelik Dalid, in those short tshuvas in Ois Yud Tes. In Ayin Dalid Ois Yud Tes. In Tzadik Gimel, Rav Moshe was a little bit less aggressive. Rav Moshe tells us, first of all, he says, if you have cold drop water, cold drops, in other words, you took the cup and you poured it out. Now we're saying very halacha l'maisadik, Rabbi says. So have cup and listen, make sure you're listening. When you take a cup and you wash it out in the sink and it's uncooked droplets, we have to make a chart for this afterward, I think, Rabbi say. When you take a cup of water and it has liquid, Dainu, you washed out the cup and you poured out the cup and you're left with uncooked droplets. That'll be the first cake. Uncooked droplets, says Rabbi Moshe, you have to be machmir. Rabbi Moshe says, I'm not willing to say these svaras, even though it's psikresha, even though it's like nichale, even though it's no achshave, it's only chatishir. But he says, without the additional svar of ein b'shal bishul b'davar, I will not be mako. Murdik, you see the pachad of Rabbi Moshe when it comes to Hilchos Shabbos. I tell you, Rabbi say, with my small experience of Rav Moshe in the other volumes of the Igros Moshe, in the little bit of knowledge I have, he would be mako with these types of svaras. Rabbi say, I'm afraid to say it, even in Even Ezer. But you see what's scared, what pachad Rav Moshe had from Shabbos. Shabbos is a Iyar Shemayim. Rav Shimshon Pincus, my Rabbi, once told me that when it comes to every other day of the week, we say Shavisi Hashem L'negdi Summit. A Yid has to be Iyar Shemayim, and he has to live with Hashem. Shabbos, you have no choice but to be a Iyar Shemayim. Otherwise, you're a Rasha. You don't lift your finger without deciding, can I yes do it or can I not do it? The rest of the week, before you lift the finger, no, it's up to you. It's up to your Iyar Shemayim. On Shabbos, you're a Rasha if you lift that finger without asking questions. So Rav Moshe is pachad b'chodim of Iyar. When it comes, he's not willing to be mako. He says Rav Moshe, but Masha ain't Cain if the droplets were cooked, like we're talking about the leftover droplets at the bottom of, you had one tea and then you finished the tea and now you want to pour the hot water straight onto it, or all of the other cases that we're talking about, Rabbi say, even though in a minute I'm going to be mechalik, all of the other cases Rav Moshe is going to be willing to be make on. Rabbi say, the droplets that were on my lid, even though you're going to put it onto a fire, you're putting it onto a fire, right? Or the case of the ladle that you're putting into a kli rishon, straight into a kli rishon. In all these cases, according to the Rav Moshe, he doesn't talk about all these cases. He only talks about the cases where you're pouring water onto the droplets. But the svara that Rav Moshe says should apply in every one of those cases. As long as the droplets were previously cooked, says Rav Moshe, efsher, you could be mako. Efsher. That's what he says in the 93rd tshuva. In Chelik Dalid, Ayin Dalid, in Siman Yud Tes, over there, he says much more aggressively. He says if they were already cooked, yesh lahakal. Over there, he's mekel the gamre. You see over there in those tshuvas in general, the hashkafa of Rav Moshe was ein b'shach habishal b'davar lach is a chumrah, and we're not going to be makam on that chumrah b'makim sigreshas like nichales that are not only achshaves, and it's not really an achshave, it's only chatishir. So therefore, Rav Moshe was willing to. That means Rabbi say kimat in all the case. According to Rav Moshe, it's very simple to know the answer to all of our shaylas. We'll see. This is not the gamut of the poskim. According to Rav Moshe, it's very simple. Are the droplets previously cooked? If the answer to that question is yes, you can be makel in every one of the cases. According to Rav Moshe, if the droplets are not previously cooked, you can't be makel in any of the cases. Very simple. That's right. Now, what does Rav Moshe do with the Mishnah Berurah that we mentioned? The Mishnah Berurah says first, the Mogen Avram, that he says by the piece of the potato kugel that you're putting into the roitiv and it's cooking those droplets. According to Rav Moshe Feinstein, I do not know the answer to this question. Maybe he argues. I don't know. Maybe he argues. We saw that this was one of the Makaris. We said there were Moshe argues. I don't know. We'll see other mahalachim in a moment. According to Rav Moshe, I have no mahalach how to answer this kasha. Maybe you could say, I saw maybe some, should I tell you a weird teretz? Why should I say something weird? If you say something weird, you can become weird. You can become weird. No, I don't know. According to Rav Moshe, I think Rav Moshe argues. No, if you say weird things, you can become weird. That's how it goes, Rabbi said. So I think it's not good to say anything weird over here. I saw one say if he says something weird, let's just leave it. It never happened. According to Rav Moshe, it's mutter even in that case, and that's a sheet of going Rav Moshe. However, you should know, Rabbi say, I see there's other sheetas over here. There are other sheetas over here. For example, the Shevet HaLevi, there's a Rav Elyashiv. When I say Rav Elyashiv or Shlomo Zalman, they're coming from many different svarim. There's the Ora Shabbos brings Rav Elyashiv or Shlomo Zalman. There's all over. You do see that the Shmir Shabbos. You see over here, there was certainly Rav Elyashiv or Shlomo Zalman and the Shevet HaLevi did seem to say the same idea. Rabbi Yitzchak's going to bring it in the Marmakoimis. I'm leaving out the names and faces because there is an aspect over here of a Mepia Shmua, which I don't like so much to go with Mepia Shmua as Rabbi Rosenberg out of Seif. I don't love Mepia Shmua, as you all know, but I'll go upon him. There is definitely a validity because the statement seems to be a recurring statement from Shlomo Zalman and Rav Elyashiv and many of the Svarim and Shevet HaLevi. They say in Nusach that if you take the cup that has the moisture in it, right? And we'll be mechalik in a moment, previously cooked, not previously cooked. The idea they're saying first, if you take a cup that has this moisture in it, let's say the cup from the tea, it does seem to be that if the liquid was not cooked, kimat everybody wants to be machmir on that. There are different shmuas from Rav Shlomo Zalman. But let's talk at least about the case of where it's previously cooked, and then maybe we'll go further. They all say this nusach about taking the cup and shaking it out, taking the lid and shaking it off, taking the ladle and shaking it off, and you shake it off until nothing else shakes off. So then anything else that's left over there, if you shake it out of sight, is considered just stam leiches, stam moisture, a wetness, has no chashivas klal. And no chashivas. And like I said, most of them are only willing to be make on this concept at kama it was dafka nisbashal, that the liquid, the droplets were already previously nisbashal. Now, if you go with this mahalach, Rabbi Sai, first of all, derech agav, the Shevet HaLevi l'shitasai is fabulous. We mentioned yesterday the Shevet HaLevi, even by the tea, said that once you shake it off and it's basically dry, he didn't care about any moisture. So according to Shevet HaLevi, it's across the board, it's all the same thing, right? But Lemaisa, we saw Rav Shlomo Zalman not like that. We saw the Poskim didn't say like that. It seems to be that over here, by a cup, when you take the cup and you shake it out, and there's nothing left that shakes, and it's just moist, that moisture is not considered, at least by these great Poskim, doesn't have any chashivas. I don't mean here without any chashivas. I think they mean over here that more of a Meleches Shabbosdik svara. Ain't the svara that we told Rabbi Ratchkin before. Such a svara that when you have just moisture on a cup, it doesn't have, nobody views this as a bishul because it doesn't have a shame of a chefze b'chlal. There's no metzias of this thing. We don't mitziaches to this thing. Again, I don't believe they would say this svara. They don't say this svara unless the liquid was previously cooked. Now, boy say, I must tell you that lefi this, it's miyushiv the Magen Avram, Rabbi Blinder. Should I tell them or you want to tell them? I should tell them? I'll tell. Lefi this, it's miyushiv the Magen Avram. The Magen Avram is talking about a pocket of liquid. He's talking about a piece of potato kugel that you put into some like soup with a pocket of liquid. And over there, you can't say that the liquid has no chshivas. Of course it has a chshivas. That droplets come together and form a part of the soup. On that, the Magen Avram said it's a problem when you take that piece of potato kugel, which is boiling hot, it's going to cook the little bits of liquid on the surface level of the potato kugel. So if you that, it's gevaldik, because that taka does have a chshivas. That liquid does have a chshivas. It's a part of the soup. Of course, it has a chshivas. So therefore, there is a bishul on that. Masha ein kain when it comes to the droplet on the cup that I went and I shook out, and it's gone now, and all that's left is some moisture. That is batal and has zero chshivas. And lefi that, there be a makom to be makel. Now again, lefi this, it could be that you have another mahalach to answer up the tea leaves, Rabbi Schlisselfeld. It could be there's another mahalach to answer up the tea leaves. This is what I was thinking. Maybe lefi this mahalach, maybe it's an extension of what the Olam was saying before. Now you for sure can't say that droplet which is on the tea leaf is batal. Avada, now it makes much more sense what Rabbi Schlisselfeld was saying. It's mamish a part of the tea leaf. So you can't say it's batal, it's a part of what you're coming to do. It makes a lot more sense. But when you take a cup and you shake it out, then all that's left is a droplet of a moisture that you can't even drop. You can't even drop off. You shook it out and there's nothing left. So then b'kai govna, l'chayra, that would be a svara to be mekel. Ein bezech shivas klal. It's not such a pasha that svara. No, Rabbi Fulda, Rabbi Elbaz, is that like a svar pshuta? Is this a svar pshuta? Rabbi Elbaz, what do you say? Rabbi Fulda, no, it's a svar pshuta. It's pasha. Really, it's mamish pasha. I don't know. What do you say? Pick up your fingers if it's pasha, Rabbi Elbaz and Rabbi Fulda. Why I'm picking it on them is my prerogative. I decide who I pick on. That's the rules. Also, Rabbi Elbaz doesn't have Rav Avaja there today. I don't know what happened. He must have gone to Meiron. But I don't know. Lots of chedushim today, says Victor. Right. I wanted to tell you that when I was in America, it was my brother's wedding. This must have been was about 9 years ago, I think. No, Sammy, how many years ago is it? Like 9 years ago? So I was punked in Satmar one night. Why was I in Satmar? Why was I in Satmar? Well, the wedding was there, so I had to daven there or whatever. Anyways, over there, there's a punked that night, the Carlsberger Dayan, who was really in the olden days, he was the Satmar Dayan. Right. Rabbi Zalter, who am I talking about? Where's Philip? What's going on here? Where'd Philip go? Right? No, Rav Chatzkel Roth. He would be dancing if we would be in the Kollel right now. So Punkt, I asked this question to Chatzkel Roth. I asked him, what's the I was learning the sugya back then, or I was giving shir on the sugya back then. So I asked him, what's the Maisa, the minig of the Rabbanik Shishai? That was a good shayla, right? What's the minig of the Rabbanik Shishai? I didn't ask him what's the halacha. I asked him, what's the minig of the Rabbanik Shishai klapi this shayla? But Dafka didn't ask the halacha because there's all the studim, and So Chatzkel Roth said that the minig of the Rabbanic Shishai is that they do shake out the cup. I said, they shake it out or they dry it off? He said, no, taka, they mamish dry it off. No, I mean, they shake it out and they make sure that there's no moisture left at all. So that's I don't know. And he was a mamish a Rabbanic Kashishai. He's a Kashishai, right? He's I don't know. He's like that, right? I don't know. So halach l'maisa, but it's not a vilda chumrah, and you can also be mechalik in levels and levels of this chumrah. It's not a vilda chumrah to dry it out. Let's go in levels of the chumrah. Any uncooked droplet, that for sure, in my opinion, you have to dry off. Ramesha was machmer on that, and that's nothing to discuss. If the droplet is cooked, now you can be mechalik. There's a very big difference between some of the cases we spoke about. I saw the Or L'Tzion, Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul, in the 30th parak in Ha'ara Yud. He wants to say that it depends what he's talking about one specific case. He talks about the case of taking a tea that had previous droplets in it, which is one of the cases we discussed, and now pouring hot water from the urn straight onto those droplets. So he says that case for sure could be makelon. He says, first of all, we have all the svaras we said, psikresha, leinichle, chatishir, ein b'shachar b'shav. But he says another svara. He says Eroy, maybe Eroy is only when you're taking a liquid and knocking it onto a solid. Because when you knock it onto a solid, it constantly hits and hits and hits and cooks it. Mashenka, when you knock it onto a liquid, there's a svara in the poskim that might be better. We're going to see such a svara in Mitzvah Shem when we learn the sugya. It could be when you're pouring it onto a liquid, it gets mixed into the liquid immediately. And it doesn't get a chance to get knocked over by the Eroy. So if you go with that svara, Rabbi Yisai, so then it's very good that we have a new additional svara on the droplets. And again, they were machmir, but if you add all these svaras together, once it gets in there, it's this arav into a klisheni. It goes straight into, gets mixed together into the klisheni. So therefore, that's another svar. So therefore, Rabbi Yisai, we have to be mechalik in the cases. If I take Rabbi Yisai, if you want to know, I want to be makel on the shaila. No, I could definitely hear somebody taking the tea with the droplets, giving a couple of shakes, and being makel and not going and wiping it out, mamish. I could definitely hear that. Right? That much I could hear for sure, because now you have this other svara. First of all, you have the svara, maybe the moisture is bottled. Second of all, you have a svara psikresha, and loynichel, and loyachsheve, and nochatz. And now you have another svara. It gets mixed in with the liquid. Let's go to the next case. The case of where you have a ladle, that the ladle was sitting there, okay? And now it has the droplets. So you're taking that ladle, you're putting it into the kli rishon. Now you lost one of my svaras. Now you're putting the ladle, and you're putting it into a kli rishon. So you lost one of our svaras. Once you lost one of the svaras. Now again, sometimes you could also tell me, I don't know if the soup is so hot anymore. Okay, obviously, if you're not sure if it's yatzaletas, for sure you could be makel on these types of svaras, right? But just remember, when you're putting it into a boiling hot pot of soup, you lost one of the svaras. There's some people, they ladle the soup straight out from the pot. We'll see why when we learn Agasa, that when something's a liquid, there's a little bit more of a makom to be makel. So that person's going to take this ladle. He has his soup pot straight on the fire. He has the ladle with the droplets, and he's going straight into a pot which is on the fire. It's a lot more chamer. It's true, Moshe would be makel, but it's a lot more chamer because now you're doing, clear. It's not just a clear rishon anymore. It's not an Iyar of Kallus. It's mamash a bishul on the fire. So there, I'd be a lot more weary to just shake it out. I would want to maybe, what I would tell the person is, why get involved in the shiloh? Just make sure that after you leave it in the fire, leave the ladle into the kli rishon. Don't take the ladle out and don't get involved in the shiloh. You're dealing with Hilchos Shabbos. Why should you get involved in the shiloh? Another shiloh would be like this. Let's say you want to take I want to take, here's a good case. I took the ladle. I did what Kallus said. I left the ladle in my soup pot. Okay. But now I finished my soup. Why is it that you need the ladle to be in the soup pot? Because you might want doubles. You might want seconds, right? So what do you have? So you have on the bottom of the soup pot, you have a couple of droplets. On the soup bowl, you have a couple of droplets, okay? So now can I take the ladle and pour it onto the droplets? So this is already a whole different shiloh, because now you're dealing with droplets, which we said is not so pashut that it's also. And now you're dealing with another problem. You're dealing with another heter, is you're dealing with irui, which we said is another, but now you're dealing with an irui of a ladle. And we're going to learn that a ladle is a whole shiloh. What's a ladle? Is a ladle a sheaf, a kli rishon? Is it an irui from a kli rishon? Or maybe a ladle, but right, you take the ladle out of the pot, she's no longer considered a kli rishon, because once she's removed from the pot, now she's a kli sheni. This is a very big shiloh. No, that far already, you could be makel on previously cooked droplets. No, Dovi, calm down with your chumras. You could, that far, you could be makel already, right? But in my opinion, the most violent of all cases is the case of where you're taking the lid that has the droplets and you took off your cholent, and now the droplets are freezing cold. You know how it is. So you know what I do in my house? You know what I do? When I take the cholent off, okay, I take the lid and I leave it on the hot plate. I leave her on the hot plate. Why get involved in the shilas, right? I leave the lid on the hot plate. And then she's sitting there cooking away. Why not, Rabbi Elbaz? Why can't I just take the lid and leave it on the hot plate? And now those liquid droplets, they never get cold. That's what I do. In a case of where you don't, right? So Rabbi Rosenberg, Fishy over here says, wipe it down. But, sometimes it's not, it's quite, So again, if someone wants to be Mekel and Ramesha, he's a Kaddish, he's a Tzaddik, there's no Shaila. If somebody wants to do like the Shevet Levi and give it a couple of shakes, Yesh Makom Lakel for sure. If somebody wants to take it and leave it on the hot plate, that's for sure the best thing in the world you could do. But the Maisa, if somebody wants to wipe it around, he's not a weird person. He's not some strange guy that you have to feel he's a matmiya and a weird person that's maybe just like looking for attention. I wouldn't feel that such a person is weird. I wouldn't say that you shouldn't make a shidduch with him. He's some strange machmir. I don't know. So this is what you hear. This is why when I have the teas afterward, I don't know. I love Shabbos. I don't know. Not such a big deal for me to wipe it out. Yes, let's say he is. He's inside the shtibel, and he has to disinfect the cup. So he pours on it boiling hot water and whatever. So what? So Rabbi say, take that cup with the boiling hot drops, and then after you pour it out, miyad go and pour the next cup on, and then already the droplets didn't get a chance to cool down. Right? The droplets didn't get a chance to cool down, and the socks inside the urn, they didn't get a chance to get this bashal. So I would say, I don't see why there should be any issue over here. Is it crystal clear? Everything we spoke about today, Rabbi Yisai, crystal clear. Should I make just to be mitzvah the cases? There's basically 8 or 9 cases over here. Right? The first case is you take a ladle that has droplets that were not cooked, because you washed it off. I'm going to just make a quick sikum. A ladle with droplets that were not cooked. To put that inside a kli rishon, that's already very, 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 very schwer. That's very schwer. No way. Don't you dare do that. You wash off the ladle and then put it into the kli rishon. No way. Remember this, Rabbi Sai, because some people, they group all the cases together. Don't do that. That's number one. To take a ladle that has previously cooked droplets on it and put it into a kli rishon, Ramesh's Mekel, I must tell you that the Sefer Shmiras Shabbos Hilchos was not known of the Grace of Machmirim. He brings this case in Perek Aleph in Sif Nun Dalid, right? And over there again, also in Sif Mem. Take a look in Sif Mem, right? He is not so happy about this case. This is the case he's not so happy about, Rabbi Isai. Again, to take the ladle, which was cold water, droplets, no way. Those were never cooked. No way. To take the ladle, which even had the previously left it on the counter, and now you want to put it inside the Kli Rishon? So Rav Moshe's Mekel. And whoever's Mekel, he's a Talmud of Rabbi Feinstein. But the Shmir Shabbos is Machmir. That means, like, if you do this and your wife gives you a snack, it's because she read Shmir Shabbos Hilchos, right? So you got to hit her on the head with an Igros Maisha. Right? That's number 2. Case number 3 is the lid of the cover of the Cholent pot. Rav Moshe is Mekel, right? Rav Shlomo Zalman, he said, I know there are svaras, but Rav Shlomo Zalman said, but you should know, I'm Machmir. There are svaras, and there's a makom to be Mekel. But on this case, Rav Shlomo Zalman is brought down having said, there's a makom to be Machmir. And we know why. We lost a lot of our svaras. Here it's mamish cooking on the Kli Rishon. So you do what I said. Just leave her on the hot plate, or give it more than a couple of shakes, maybe wipe it off. Why get involved? That's number 3. Number 4 is when you have a cup and it's uncooked droplets because you washed it out with cold water, with whatever, uncooked water. So that, Rav Moshe told us to be Machmir. The Chazon Ish is brought down in every one of these storybooks that he was Machmir. There is a Kleisenberger in the Divrei Yatziv that he's Mekel. But Lama, why? Shabbos, why? Why? Rabbi said you could take the Kleisenberger Chum when you shave your wife's head. Until then, no. When you have a cup with cooked liquid, right? When you have a cup of that it was already previously cooked droplets, like the second cup of tea, and you want to pour the water straight on, that's a lot more cooler there because we have the additional svar of the Or L'Tzion, okay? And therefore, that's a lot more kuladik, that case. But even that case, why not? Why not to be machmir? Rav Nitzan Karelitz in that case is machmir, for example. But again, we said all this far. That's why I'm not going so much into the names and faces. When you have a bowl that had in it, so if you have a bowl that had in it uncooked droplets, you have a bowl that you took from the sink, you washed out the bowl. Sometimes you have a bowl which is a little bit mudna. The dishwasher didn't do a good job. I'm not saying you should divorce her, but upon him, it didn't do such a good job. So you go and you wash it off in the sink, right? And now you want to take from a ladle, right? You want to take from a ladle and you want to pour it onto the bowl with those uncooked droplets. So now that's really the ladle shaila. That's a very big shaila, the ladle shaila. And Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to talk about this shaila. Is a ladle called a Kli Rishon? Is it called a Kli Sheni? There might be a makom to be mekel because there's a tzad that it's called only an Iroi from a Kli Sheni, and therefore on a droplet there might be a makom to be mekel. But certainly, if you have the droplets from your soup that you had in the bowl, which were previously cooked droplets, and now you take a ladle and pour on there for sure you can be mekel. That's my first agav in the Mishabru and Sivkat and Pei Dalid, that case, mamish, that you can be mekel in. And that's l'chayra, all the cases that we spoke about. Bez Hashem, Rabbi Isai, we'll continue tomorrow. Happy Lag BaOmer. And we for sure have to sing. That's for sure. That is no shayla we have to sing. We have to sing, no?